welcome to this episode of Gimme Shelter Security in Azure. Today we're going to talk about key management. I'm Dwayne Natwick. I'm an Azure MVP and also a Microsoft certified trainer and regional lead, and a cloud training architect for Ops Agility and Skill Me Up, where I create content, labs, and run courses and events. So today we're going to just do a high-level overview of key management within the Azure environment and talk specifically about the features and functionality of Azure Key Vault. So when we start talking about managed keys, there's two different types, or I'd say really three different types of key management within an organization that you have. And when you're in the Azure environment, that can be Azure managed keys or customer managed keys. And then there's a subset then of how those customer managed keys are work, whether we are going to utilize Azure Key Vault as the management, the separation of duties for the management of the keys within our environment. So no longer are the keys housed or utilized by the accounts, such as a storage account keys. They're now housed within the Key Vault. So as customers, we are the ones that have access to the keys rather than them being out in the resources of Azure. We can also have the capability through premium Azure Key Vault to bring our own keys from our own management system, our own HSM, an on-premises vault or locker, so to speak, and bring those into Azure Key Vault and utilize those with our resources within Azure. So it's all going to have a lot to do with what your company is willing to bear, what you want to do going in terms of separation of duties. Some companies require that depending on the level of regulatory compliance that they need to have and things like that. They need to have that separation of duties where we can't have our keys exposed within the resources to people within the organization that are working in Azure resources. We want to have somebody with specific duties to manage our keys and secrets and bring those in to our resources and expose and utilize those in the resources as needed. So what does Azure Key Vault do? And I hit on that a little bit in the previous slide, but what Azure Key Vault is a vault, exactly what it's saying, for our keys, for API keys, our tokens, our passwords, and any other secrets that we have within the organization, within the Azure infrastructure that we want to utilize. And we can utilize it even with some on-premises services as well. It is our vault, and we can put our secrets and keys and API keys and all of those things within Azure Key Vault as needed. Another nice feature around Azure Key Vault is it also will provide a place to secure our SSL TLS certificates for our web pages. Both the public and private certificates can be utilized there. As I was saying, utilizing hardware security modules for on-premises, we can manage those secrets in Azure Key Vault as well and pass those up to Azure Key Vault from an on-premises HSM system. That requires the premium license. However, it's not available in the standard license. All of the other features mentioned here can be utilized just with a standard license. And it's not intended for user passwords. This is more for passwords and role-based access, or passwords and certificates and tokens that we're utilizing for Azure resources. So this is just a quick slide on how you access those. So, it has to do with authentication of the user here with Azure Active Directory on the left. As we then get authorized and utilize our role-based access control for our management plane, we're also accessing Key Vault at the data plane level for adding, deleting, and modifying those keys and secrets and certificates. The management plane is utilized for creating and deleting the Key Vaults, retrieving Key Vault properties, updating access policies. So that is what we're doing, typically in, with PowerShell commands or CLI commands or working in the portal in Key Vault, that's what we're doing at the management plane, just like we're doing any other resource. The data plane itself is where those keys are located and where we're accessing those keys and calling those keys for certain resources. And here's some different examples of how that access takes place within our management plane. We have different types of security services over here with SSL certificates, our storage keys for storage account, our RSA keys, different bootstrap certificates for authentication within Azure Active Directory. Then we have our different roles over here. So this is where our separation of duties really takes place, where we have our security team, our developers, our auditors, our application. Our auditors and our application don't really have any use or need to be a part of the management plane. Our developers and operators and our security team need those permissions for our security team to be a contributor to put those keys in place. And then the developers and operators are going to need those the permissions in there to be able to deploy and utilize those keys in the applications and services that they're utilizing and developing. And then at the data plane level, obviously still your security team is your team that is and role that is managing both at the management plane and at the data plane to watch those keys, to back up, create, delete, import those keys, and handle all the operations around secrets. Developers and operators don't really have the requirement at the point of the data plane to create and utilize those keys. They go to the security team to have those created and get the access to those at the management plane level for deployment and the permissions to deploy at that point. And then the auditors are going to require the list of keys and secrets, what is being stored in there for audit purposes, what's being protected with the Key Vault. And the application is going to need to sign those keys and get those keys, whether it's an application that the key is their key, so that's where they're going to sign it, and also the applications and APIs that are calling other applications that have those keys within Key Vault, they need to be able to get those keys. So as we talk about keys here, we mentioned in the previous slide that there are, you have your get and your list, and what those are for are to support the operations and be able to call those keys and know what is being secured by Key Vault for those auditors, like I said. And then applications are going to need to call and get those keys to access the resources of other resources that are being secured by the Key Vault. We have different operations within keys, and you can see where we can update, create, import, export, do a lot of things within here. And those operations are all encrypted operations and allow to protect and utilize those keys. And keys, again, we have support for bring your own key scenarios and support for HSM protected keys can all be housed as keys within the Key Vault. Secrets are very similar to a password. So the keys are your encrypted alphanumeric number. You've probably seen them in a storage account where we have those long numbers that you really can't duplicate in your head and take a long time to type. So it's really just copy and pasting most of the time. Secrets are more like application passwords, and those can be utilized and stored and saved within the Key Vault as well to protect and encrypt those from being compromised. And you can have then manual or certificate creation of those as well, and you can utilize those as the name value pairs, and those need to be unique within the Key Vault. So that's a key point. You can't have multiple secrets within the Key Vault, yet more than one application might use the same secret. And here's just a quick example of utilizing key rotation and secret rotation. It's important to not continue to utilize the same key and secret within your environment. So you want to keep that rotated on a regular basis, so that if something does get exposed and compromised, we can rotate those, and we can rotate them on a manual as needed basis as well. So you can then you use also automation script, and you can see here in the example that they're utilizing an event that is calling a function that is rotating that key and expiring that key, and then updating that secret with a SQL database in this example. And finally, one of the things to talk about here around Azure Key Vault, and probably the biggest differentiator around Key Vault versus utilizing Azure managed keys. Keys and secrets, you have the ability to utilize those in other ways. You have HSMs that you might have on premises, but Azure Key Vault can actually manage your certificates for you. And I don't know how many times I've seen support tickets at certain times of the month, being around managed service providers for the last more than a decade, knowing that having customers call in and say, hey, people can't get to my website and things like that because it wasn't noted, or an alert wasn't created that a certificate was expiring for their website. Azure Key Vault can actually manage that for you and do the lifecycle management and do automatic renewals and contact notification when those certificates are due to expire, and they can update those, renew those automatically, and then notify you that they have been renewed as well. So one of the great features and functionality and recommendations to me that to utilize Azure Key Vault as your key management system is just, if you have a public facing website or any sites that are utilizing certificates, then you would really benefit from utilizing Azure Key Vault. So, those are the key things around Azure Key Vault. Those are the key points to take into account. I'm not going to do a demo on Azure Key Vault. It's pretty, to me, pretty self-explanatory from a standpoint of just understanding, the differences in keys and secrets and certificates. But you also need to understand that it has a lot to do when you're talking about keys and secrets, is the separation of duties. And most regulated organizations do not want to utilize Azure keys, Azure managed keys within their resources. They need to have that separation of duties and separate the resources from the keys. And that is really where Azure Key Vault can benefit you if an organization's already not utilizing an HSM system on premises. And like I said, even if they are, and they're utilizing Azure resources, they can get the premium subscription to Azure Key Vault, and then utilize that for their as an HSM and as an on-ramp and source for pushing those HSM managed keys into Azure Key Vault as well, and keep those protected and, again, separated from being exposed directly to Azure resources within the environment. So thank you very much for attending this and watching this episode of Gimme Shelter. I look forward to any feedback that you want to provide me through social media. Reach out and let me know what you think of this series so far. Got quite a few more videos to put together here for this particular series. So subscribe to the YouTube page and my YouTube channel, and take a look at the other videos that I've done previously, and also get notifications for ones that are coming up. So thank you very much. I'll see you next week.